Hello everyone, Joker Finance Group here. Today we are going to look at how we can identify major entries. Basically, we're going to look at how you can minimize huge losses. For example, if you're trying to set up stop losses. So for example, today we're going to look at indices. Let's try to analyze the indices. And that is, we are going to look at volatility 25 index. So we opened up with bigger time, that's daily. We are now starting to mark our major levels in daily time frame. So after marking them, we shall be able to switch to a smaller time frame, that is H1, for example. So H1 helps us to identify entry levels if you're focusing on minimizing minimizing the stop loss amount. So for example, here we've now gone to H1. So H1, we are seeing our levels that we had marked in daily. Now, what we're going to do next is to mark our zones. For example, we'll start with our supply zone there. Remember, we are in H1. So after marking our supply zone, we go to marking our demand zone. Right there. So we are done with our demand zone. So what comes next is to look at, we're already seeing that the structure is trying to be formed in H1. And we mark there, that is what we call, for example, the break of structure. So we all see in H1, the trade tried to push up and cross that level, which is marked as break of structure or BOS. So after there, we are going to identify another level. For example, you notice that you'll see in H1, there was, on that level of break of structure, there was a pin bar formed in H1, which shows that it was trying to retest the level of break of structure. But for us, remember, we marked our demand level. So that pin didn't touch that level, the demand level. You get the point? So in most cases, buyers will rush to buy from that level. Yeah. So once you see a pin buy is formed, but not touching your demand zone, we request, basing on our rules, don't rush to enter that trade. All right. So that level, we are going to mark it as, for example, the inducement for demand zone. Okay. So inducement for demand zone, or for example, like I've said, it didn't touch our demand zone. Okay. So it will be an inducement for demand zone to induce buyers. All right. So for example, maybe we can say we can call it maybe early buyers to for example, maybe early buyers to liquidate. Okay. So there, early buyers will be liquidated. All right. Because remember, we marked our demand zone and the candle didn't touch the level that we wanted. Okay. Okay. So we don't enter. Okay. After identifying that pin bar, remember, we're waiting for a trade to come and touch our demand zone. All right. And remember, our major goal was to minimize the stop losses and also identifying a structure being made. Okay. All right. Now, what next? We have to wait, because now you see you can't enter from there. You have to wait for the demand zone. Okay. Let's mark it as demand zone. Demand zone. That caused, for example, the break of structure. Okay. Because remember, we are focusing on the break of structure, and the structure is usually formed to give you a signal for either buy or, say, let's change that color as dark blue. I think we can call it like dark blue. So we can change this one to maybe red. Let's put it as red. Let's put it as red to differentiate the markings, okay? All right, now there we are done. What next? So we have to wait the trade to come to our demand zone. So what comes up next is to create where we are going to buy from and put our stop loss plus the target, okay? So we select long position, that is buy. That is buy. So our stop loss will be around there. Okay, let's first try to reduce the size of this. Okay. So our target, we should be measuring on our supply zone. That's why we marked it as well. But remember, usually trades can play around and they don't. Okay, usually when you try and set a take profit, I mean, always try to put it below your supply zone. For example, in this case, when you place the buying order, so that becomes our target zone, and our stop loss is around down there. Like you see that red spot. Okay, let's put it somewhere there. I think we can change the color to maybe to sky blue. I think sky blue or light blue, navy blue. So after that, we wait for a trade to do what we've analyzed. Okay, wait for it to come to a demand zone. Thank you, and have a lovely day or a lovely weekend. Actually, we're in the weekend, so you wait for that to come around that level and place a buy.